You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
This episode of Oh Behave is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audiblepodcast.com/behave. Over 75,000 titles to choose from for your iPod or MP3 player.
It's Oh Behave with Arden Moore, the show that teaches you how to have harmony in the household with your pets. Join Arden as she travels coast to coast to help millions better understand why cats and dogs do what they do. Get the latest scoop on famous faces, their perfectly pampered pets, and who's walking who in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails, garner great pet tips, and have a doggone fur-flying fun time. So get ready for the pause and applause as we unleash your Oh Behave host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Time to commit a real social faux pas by discussing politics. I know, we've been taught that it is a big doggy no-no to talk politics or religion, but I think you're going to like this brand of politics featured on today's show. That's because the so-called politicians spotlighted are individuals who you might call non-partisan. On today's show, we're going to focus on America's first pets, the doggone lucky pets who, for a term or two, got to call the White House their home. And here to share insights into those famous pets and their presidential owners is Chuck Zoller, Director of Creative Services for the Associated Press. You know, Chuck's quite a talented guy with a camera, and he's here to talk about a must-read pictorial book called First Pets. Welcome to the show, Chuck.
Thanks very much, Art.
Hey, we're going to find out which presidential pet was the first to be photographed and, yikes, murdered, and which first pet became a YouTube sensation, and much more right after this commercial break. So, sit and stay. We'll be right back.
Time for a pause. 4 furry ones, actually. Sit and stay. Oh Behave will be right back.
Hey boy, how you doing? What am I doing? I'm creating your own life book. It's a website that's just for you. Remember that picture I took of you pulling off Lisa's bathing suit? Yeah, I know, me too. I'm putting that awesome picture on your life book page. We'll see what comments we get. And that great video we took of you standing on the table with your head inside the turkey? That's definitely going on there. No, it's easy. It only took me 2 minutes to set up your page. I chose a great theme, and I can connect with millions of other pet parents. I can also create a memorial life book. No, not for Grandma, but we can make one for Fluffy, remember her? And we can even put links to our favorite pet charity, and friends can make donations. People can create their own life book for their pets by going to PetLifeRadio.livingyearspets.com, or they can sign up on the Pet Life Radio homepage. Where's Lisa? She's outside by the pool. Hey, come back here! Create your own life book for your pet. PetLifeRadio.livingyearspets.com.
Aquariums and pond keeping are among the most popular of all hobbies in the United States and throughout the world. In fact, fish are probably the most numerous pet in people's homes and in their businesses. In Aquarium Mania, we'll learn more about the secret and not-so-secret life of fish and other inhabitants, the basics of good aquarium keeping, the complexities of the aquarium industry, and the science and art that surround this fascinating hobby. I'm your host, Roy Anong, and I'd like to thank you for joining us. Aquarium Mania.
Every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com. Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com. Oh Behave is back with more tail-wagging ways to achieve harmony in the household with your pets. Now, back to your fetching host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome back to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Our special guest today is a real news hound. Chuck Zoller is a lifelong journalist who was a former photographer for the very prestigious Associated Press. He's been a photo editor, director of the AP Images Photo Library, and now is director of creative services for the AP. Wow, Chuck sported a lot of collars in the news world, and he's here today to discuss a new book filled with some never-before-seen photos of pets who have lived in the White House. The book is appropriately called First Pet. Hey, welcome to the Obie Hay Show, Chuck.
Thanks, Arden. Really appreciate it.
You know, this is kind of a neat project you've got to wrap your paws around, pardon the pun. But you do a lot of these themed books, wouldn't you say, for the AP? And let's talk a little bit about how this one came to be.
Well, we do a lot of themed books, and the AP is uniquely positioned to do these kind of books because we are the world's oldest news organization, and obviously that includes a lot of photography since the inception of wire service photography. We have an enormous photo collection on all kinds of topics of interest, and they lend themselves to really interesting pictorial books, and First Pet is one of them.
And I mean, when you talk about pets, I mean, the presidential pets really have pretty good clout. I mean, think of Clinton's socks and Bo now and, dogs and cats and other critters throughout the years. I mean, they know how to grab a headline, don't they?
We like to say that the First Pet is often more popular than the president, because no matter what your political persuasion, and right now I would say politics has become pretty polarized. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, no matter what you think of the president who was in the White House at the time, everyone can sort of relate to the First Pet, and everyone, I think, takes an interest in the pets in the White House.
So could you name a pet or two that really drew your intrigue as a journalist in the history of the White House?
Well, arguably the most famous First Pet was Franklin Delano Roosevelt's Scottish Terrier, Fala. That dog became a household name during FDR's several terms, and the dog and FDR were pretty much inseparable. You rarely saw them apart, and in fact, when FDR died, Fala was at his side, and Fala was later buried next to FDR. So I found that kind of interesting.
In Washington, D.C., Fala's got his own statue, right?
That's right. And really, Fala set the standard for First Pets. Was incredibly popular pet in the White House. There's some great photos of Fala in the book, by the way.
Yeah, there's because of that, what we'd like to do for the people who are tuning in, Chuck is kind enough to be able to give away a copy of First Pet. This is an amazing book that you really, if you love pets, you should really get a copy of. So the code word, I think we should go with Fala. What do you think, Chuck?
That works for me.
All right, so anybody who is the first to email arden@fourleggedlife.com will win a copy of the book First Pet, which is a bunch of amazing photographs through the years of the pets who occupied 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And you can learn more about that on the Arden Moore Knows Pets e-newsletter. So Fala was a biggie, but Bo knows how to grab a headline these days, don't you think?
Yeah, one of the reasons we were driven to do the book was because it didn't escape our attention, all the hype and the attention that the Obama family drew when they were looking for a pet dog, and all the speculation on what breed would it be and where would they get it. Would they get it from a shelter or a breeder? And if they finally decided on Bo, Bo became an instant celebrity. So it really captured the nation's attention, and it was one of the catalysts for us doing this book.
Well, I think there was a recent broadcast where, Michelle Obama was trying to give a talk at a classroom and Bo was there, and Bo kept piping up. I guess this is one of the few beings on the planet that can interrupt the First Lady and not really get in the doghouse, right?
Yeah, it's hard to upstage the President and the First Lady and not feel the repercussions, but Bo can get away with that.
That's great. Let's talk about, I love history, and, there's been some famous dogs in the White House that may have helped and may have hurt some of the political careers of their owners, and not intentionally. I'm not saying the dogs or the cats or the other critters did it, but the actions that have surrounded these pets. Let's talk with somebody that may not have done a really good deal, and that was Lyndon B. Johnson with his beagles. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the picture of what he did. Maybe you can describe it better for us, Chuck.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite picture in the book because, Arden, like you, I remember as a kid seeing that picture and the uproar that it caused. I think it was in Life magazine, but regardless, it was a sensation at the time. At a photo op, LBJ had two beagles named probably him and her. And he picked one of the beagles up by the ears in front of newsmen, and Charlie Gorey, a great AP photographer from AP Washington, got that photo, and it immediately caused a big commotion, and pet lovers really took offense at the way the president was treating his dog. So that got a lot of attention as a great news photo, but also kind of backfired on the president, I think, a little.
And how do you mean by backfired? What happened?
Well, there was a lot of criticism from dog lovers and animal lovers at the time about that's cruel to the dog, and I don't know whether it was or not, but certainly a lot of people took offense at that.
I take offense at him being the lack of creativity. I mean, for gosh sakes, the dogs are named him and her. Did he name, Ladybird, wife? I mean, yeah. Child number one. I mean, seriously. Right. Not very imaginative.
I know. An interesting thing about LBJ, I've talked to some of our White House photographers from that period. AP's always been blessed with a great photo staff in Washington, and they say that LBJ was one of their favorite presidents to photograph because he was so unpredictable, and that you never knew what he was going to do. And that kind of comes through in the book because there's some really, not just the picture with the dog's ears, there are other great photos of LBJ on horseback and with other pets that he was really spontaneous and not self-conscious at all, and it comes through in the book.
Wow, that's pretty cool. We do share a commonality. I know you're a big dog lover, and obviously I like dogs, cats, and other critters, but I actually spent 20 years as a newspaper reporter myself, mostly at the Fort Lauderdale Sun-Sentinel, chasing everybody from politicians to astronauts and all. And so, like you, I think it's nice to have that natural curiosity. You sound like, with a photograph, it is a cliche, but it can say so much more than maybe words. Don't you agree?
I don't necessarily subscribe to the a picture is worth 1,000 words saying, but I think certainly a well-crafted news story and an eloquent writer can really do wonders with the written word. But photos do have a way of capturing a reader's attention and really putting a story or a moment, historical moment in perspective and really giving it some credibility. Okay,
I think so. And this book, how do people obtain the copy of First Pet? Is there a website also? And I know you've released this book in earlier in May, but tell people how they can get that book.
First Pet is available in bookstores and also online from the book publishing sites, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Borders, all carry it. And it's even available on the AP's website, although probably the easiest way if somebody wanted to order it would be to go to Amazon or one of the other booksellers.
Okay, that sounds good. And there's how many photos that we have? And tell us a little bit about what's inside the book.
I should know that, but I don't know the exact number. It's somewhere in the more than 100 photos in the book, stretching back all the way to some of the earlier presidents of the 19th century, right through Beau Obama, who's on the cover, of course.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That's so great. Everybody, we're speaking with Chuck Zoller. He is with the Associated Press, and he's here today to talk to us about this amazing new book called First Pet. It is a pictorial of some of the top dogs, cool cats, and other critters who have got to have litter boxes and leashes and chew toys inside a place called the White House. And we're going to be talking with Chuck more about some of the history of pets that have gotten to have a little bit of time spent in the White House right after we pay for the show. So stick around. We'll be right back.
time for a walk on the red carpet, of course. Oh Behave will be back in a flash right after these messages.
Hey, love to read, but just never seem to have enough time to sit in one place long enough? For all of us on-the-go people, Audible has the answer. Best-selling audiobooks for your iPod or MP3 player. For Pet Life Radio listeners, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 14-day trial to give you a chance to check out their service. Choose from hundreds of today's bestsellers, including awesome pet books, such as Bad Dogs Have More Fun by Marley and Me author John Grogan, Love That Cat by Ingrid Newkirk, It's Okay to Miss the Bed on the First Jump, and Other Life Lessons I Learned from Dogs by Seinfeld's John O'Hurley, and many, many more. To download your free audiobook today, go to audiblepodcast.com/behave. Again, that's audiblepodcast.com/behave for your free audiobook.
It's time for school for you and your friends, your furry best friends. Train your dog the fun and easy way with Teacher's Pet Sessions. Teacher's Pet host Pia Silvani teaches you step-by-step how to train your dog the fun and easy way. You get 8 30-minute live audio training sessions, complete transcripts of each session, plus a basic training manual to get you and your dog off to a great start. Training begins the moment you bring your dog home. Teacher's Pet Sessions offers positive reinforcement training to shape your dog's behavior and encourages upbeat, enthusiastic responses to ensure that your dog will enjoy learning. Teacher's Pet Sessions dog training is fun at both ends of the leash. So listen, learn, and laugh with your dog with Teacher's Pet Sessions. Get your copy of Teacher's Pet Sessions Volume 1 today. To order, go to teacherspetsessions.com.
Hi, this is Pia Silvani, your host. Bring your dog, tug toy, and treats, and get ready to have some fun.
teacherspetsessions.com.
Pets can be a wonderful addition to your life because they're a member of the family. Keeping them healthy and happy is important. Pet Life Radio presents The Pet Doctor with veterinary media consultant and veterinarian Dr. Bernadine Cruz. Whether you have a dog, cat, reptile, or rabbit, you'll find answers for your pets straight from the vets. The Pet Doctor, on demand every week, only on PetLifeRadio.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi, I'm Dean Koontz, and you're listening to Oh Behave with Arden Moore on Pet Life Radio.
We're back from the lot. Just checked the paper and we had a record showing at the box. The letterbox, that is. Now back to Oh Behave. Here's Arden.
Welcome back to the O Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. I'm delighted to have our guest, Chuck Zoller. He is an AP photographer. He is now, his official title with the Associated Press is Director of Creative Services. Now that's a pretty nice little title to have, Chuck. You know, it's not a boring title. Director of Creative Services. What the heck does that mean?
It can mean pretty much anything you want it to mean. But,
awesome! Love it.
I should make one minor correction for the record.
Okay.
I have been a newspaper photographer and photo editor for the Associated Press. But as Director of Creative Services, I tend to focus on special projects that promote the Associated Press brand, and that includes books and exhibitions, displays, things that get the AP name and brand out in front of the public and the publishing world.
Okay, but I mean, when we're talking about Associated Press in the world of news, that's like being a Great Dane, not a Yorkie. I mean, seriously, tell people a little bit about just kind of the clout and a brief history of the AP.
I'm not sure there is a brief history of the AP. We've been in business since 1846, when the Whig Party was in the White House, actually. But wow. We are the world's oldest and largest news organization. We're a nonprofit cooperative that is owned by the U.S. newspaper industry and U.S. broadcasters. And although we started out focused on print media, we're now a multi-platform news organization supplying video, audio, all kinds of online multimedia content. And we estimate that on a given day, about half the world's population sees AP News in some form around the world.
That's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. When I worked at the Fort Lauderdale Sun-Sentinel, it was always great when your story would go on the wire, and you'd never know if somebody reading a story that would then be picked up by the Associated Press would land in Paducah, Kentucky, or Sacramento, or Seattle, and you'd have friends call you. So it is kind of amazing how news can travel. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, and the reach of the AP, as you just described, Arden, is sort of what attracted me to the organization in the first place. As a newspaper photographer, as you just described, I got a huge thrill knowing that one of my pictures was on the AP wire and could appear anywhere in the country or even the world. So that was a big attraction for me, and it remains really a big aspect of the AP.
Oh, yeah. Now, I know before we got on the air, I was asking your pet portfolio, if you will, and I guess Glug Glug, you do have some pets, and you also have some types of pets that you're a big fan on, so let's talk about that.
Well, I do have an aquarium, and...
Wait a minute, do you have an aquarium with any fish in it, though? I got to make sure.
Yes,
I got to interview correctly. I can't assume you have fish in that tank. Okay.
I've been lucky with the fish, and I've had the tank for over more than 10 years, and one of the original fish is still in there. So I feel.
Is this fish named Methuselah or what?
Yeah, he doesn't have a name actually, but he's still going strong. But my real love is dogs, and unfortunately, I don't have the time to really give a dog the attention that it would deserve right now. But I do love dogs. I happen to be a fan of Labrador Retrievers, but almost any breed of dog, I'm a fan.
I mean, I think you're being smart, though, too. I mean, when I was working for many years as a newspaper reporter and I was always on the go, it was difficult to want to be able to have a dog and be able to give them the right care they need. So I think it's kind of neat that you're able to still enjoy dogs but realize what your job demands are, too.
Right. It wouldn't be fair to a dog just to leave it cooped up all the time. So especially a larger dog that I kind of like. So I'd like to have a dog in the foreseeable future.
Well, if you're ever in the San Diego area, come by my house. You can hang out with Chipper. She's a golden retriever husky mix. So if you like fur and grin and a big long tail, she'll be your bud for the day.
That sounds great. I'm there.
Okay, that's a deal. Now let's talk a little bit about some of these pets, these presidential pet first. As I alluded to in the beginning of the show, there was one pet who was actually had the distinction of a double honor, right? To be the first to be photographed in the White House and sadly was the first to be murdered, referring to a dog owned by the late great President Abraham Lincoln. Do you know much about this dog?
I confess I don't know the history of that dog.
It had a slightly better name than him and her from LBJ. I mean, Fido.
Right. It's not much better. But yeah, as I understand it, the dog jumped up on someone in the street, maybe someone who was drunk or something, and the man killed the dog. So really, really unfortunate end to that first pet. That man his first name wasn't John or last name Booth or anything, right? No, okay. I'll get you, President Lincoln, and your little dog Fido too. Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's sad for Fido, but let's talk about what are some of the other first pets you can talk about, because not all of them were dogs and cats, right? Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of my favorite aspects of the book, there's technically not a pet, but during John Quincy Adams' administration, he had the Marquis de Lafayette, the Revolutionary War hero, as a house guest at the White House. And apparently Lafayette was a colorful figure in his own right. He spent 2 months at the White House, and he brought an alligator with him. So the alligator took up residence in the East Room of the White House. And was hey, that alligator could have any room, as far as I'm concerned. He could have the whole place. Yeah. Yeah. Why did he have an alligator with him? It's no one's quite sure, but that alligator did have the run of the White House for a couple of months. And oddly enough, the first lady, Mrs. Adams, had silkworms as pets. So There's been quite a variety of animals through the White House. The Coolidge administration kept a zoo at the White House. They had all kinds of animals, but probably the most prominent were raccoons. Mrs. Coolidge is often seen in photo ops from that period, carrying a raccoon, cradling it in her arms. It seems a little odd now, but you see pictures of the White House Easter egg roll with raccoons running around. So,
Silent Cal, man, he was quite a equal opportunity pet lover. It sounds like.
I guess so. They must have been animal lovers because they had quite a menagerie there.
Yeah, I think I was reading a little bit about this, and the Coolidge administration also had a bobcat, a cow, a goose, and 2 lion cubs.
Right. I'm pretty sure the lion cubs they had to give up because they didn't lend themselves to residence at the White House. But they had all kinds of animals pass through the White House during the Coolidge administration.
So don't you think it's ironic that for the main political parties, the Republican and the Democratic Party, there are jackasses and elephants, and I don't think either one of them has actually been a pet in the White House. Is that correct?
No, but there was a foreign leader back in the 1800s who offered to send elephants to the White House because he thought that they could be adopted as working animals in the United States, and I think it was President Lincoln who politely had to decline the offer.
Okay. I just think, don't you find it weird that the political parties are elephants and donkeys? I mean, you think they could have picked dogs and cats, or I always found that interesting why the Republicans and Democrats, that's their mascots, if you will.
It is curious.
It doesn't say a lot about either political party, frankly,
right.
I think.
Right.
I mean, you got to...
You can read a lot into that, but...
Yeah, I won't get you in trouble, but I'm just thinking you got one with a memory like an elephant, and well, we won't go into the donkey part, but now, what are some other presidents or all that you can talk about? And I wanted to ask you this too: is there is a presidential pet museum, and I'm assuming there are some photos of the AP that are there in Williamsburg, Virginia, correct?
Well, that museum is in the process of relocating to Williamsburg right now.
Oh,
so
okay.
It isn't fully operational yet, but there is a presidential pet museum. The director of that museum, Claire McLean, wrote the foreword to the first pet book, and they're in the process of relocating and setting up at President's Park in Williamsburg.
Oh, I think the website is presidentialpetmuseum.com. Right. And I was looking at that, and I'm thinking I'd like to get, for people, you've got to get a copy of The First Pet. This book is something that will really delight you about some of the famous critters that have been in the White House. And then if you happen to be out east, and I think you should book some time to go to this museum when it's up and ready. So let's talk a little bit about some other famous pets through the years. I mean, we know about Bo right now. Clinton had the cat. Real men love cats, and Socks was quite a media darling.
On the title page of the book is another one of my all-time favorite first pet photos. A picture of Socks in the White House briefing room, where we always see the White House spokesperson at the podium with the logo in the background. And for this photo by Marcy Neiswander, Socks is on the podium by himself with the logo in the background. It's a hilarious photo, and
is he doing is Socks doing a mic check or what?
That's exactly what it looks like. Socks is the center of attention there. And the Clintons also had, I think it was the only lab in the White House was Buddy, and there's actually a Pulitzer Prize photo in the book, a picture of the Clinton family and Buddy. At the height of the Monica Lewinsky scandal, the family is leaving the White House for a vacation in Martha's Vineyard, and the body language in that photo speaks volumes because the First Lady and the President clearly are not getting along well, but Buddy is sticking close by the President. So it's a wonderful photo, sort of a very meaningful photo, and it won a Pulitzer Prize as part of a package of AP photos. That photo was shot by Roberto Barea for AP.
Wow. Do you think Buddy was whispering into Bill's ear saying, you're the one in the doghouse?
I'm sure that's what Clinton was thinking at the time.
Yeah. We're speaking with Chuck Zoller. He is here to talk to us today about First Pet. It's a new book that just came out. It contains hundreds of photographs documenting the presidents and their pets through all the years. And I do want you all to remember that there is a code word to get your hands on a copy of this book, thanks to Chuck and the Associated Press. Chuck, again, let's go ahead and tell people the name and how to spell that famous first dog.
That's Fala, FDR's dog, spelled F-A-L-A.
All right. And so anybody who emails Arden at fourleggedlife.com or goes to our newsletter, Arden Moore Knows Pets, you're going to be able to get a copy of this book thanks to Chuck and the Associated Press. I wanted to get maybe one last more trivia if we could. You know, there were some pets that have done well and all that, but I talked about a dog that became a YouTube sensation. Can you tell people who we're referring to, Chuck?
Are we talking about Millie?
Close. Same family, the dog, Barney.
Barney.
Yeah. Millie was the best-selling author for, you know.
Exactly. Barney was one of President George W. Bush's dogs, a Scottish Terrier, and President Bush was very photogenic with Barney and also with Spot, which was one of Millie's pups. A lot of great photos in the book, including, I think, a hilarious photo of Marine One, the president's helicopter, with a Marine guard standing at the bottom of the steps as Barney comes down the steps of the helicopter alone. It looks like the Marine is saluting Barney. So, yeah, Barney was popular on YouTube, and a number of great photos of President Bush in the book with both Barney and Spot.
And, I mean, the Bush family, because we've already talked about, so are you listeners, just take a chill pill. We've talked about cool things about Democrats and Republicans. But, I mean, if you want to talk about famous authors, I mean, the Bush family, the 2 and 4-leggers have produced a lot of books.
Well, yeah, Millie produced, I guess you would say, a ghost-written book, but it was a bestseller during the first President Bush's administration.
That's so good. Chuck, is there anything else you'd like to add? I just want to make sure we wrap up this well and let people know how they can get a copy of First Pet by the Associated Press.
Well, an interesting anecdote from the AP perspective, during Woodrow Wilson's term, he during World War I, he wanted to demonstrate austerity to the public, so he had some sheep and a ram grazing on the White House lawn to show some economy at the White House. The only problem was that these animals tore up the lawn, so it was decided that they had to go. However, someone had been giving the ram chewing tobacco at the White House, so the ram had developed a tremendous tobacco habit, and the president had to give the ram away to, turned out, the head of the Associated Press Bureau in Washington at the time, who found that the ram got very, very agitated and ornery if it didn't get its tobacco every day. So,
oh my God, the first pet addict, right?
Exactly. So, from the Associated Press standpoint, that was a funny thing that we discovered during our research.
Oh my God, this is great. I can't wait to get a copy of this book, and I think you all should be getting a copy of this book too. I mean, in this day of the Tea Party, Republicans and incumbents and all this other stuff, I think sometimes it is nice to take a different look from the perspective of the pets that are in the White House. So I'm very delighted. We've had Chuck Zoller on as our special guest. He is with the AP. He is the Director of Creative Services, and he's the one that's helped put out this book called First Pet. And I also want at this time to thank my producer, Mark Winter. He makes the show happen each and every week. For all you out there, remember, you can get a copy of this book by being the first to email Arden at fourleggedlife.com with the code word FOLLOW, which is FDR's famous terrier. And Chuck will be happy to dash off a copy of the book to you. So until next time, all of you listeners, this is Arden Moore delivering just 2 words to all you 2, 3, and 4-leggers out there. Oh, behave.
Coast to coast and around the world, it's Oh Behave with Arden Moore. Find out why cats and dogs do the things they do and get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get great tail-wagging pet tips and have a fur-flying fun time. All Behave with America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore. Every week on demand. This is the place for a special paparazzi treat. Only on PetLifeRadio.com.